In 45 minutes, a journey from surviving to thriving and thriving to total word count, approximately 9,000 words. Speaking time 45 minutes. Close your eyes for just a moment. Now open them. In those few seconds that just passed, somewhere in the world, someone decided to give up on their dreams. Someone else decided that today would be the day they finally start living instead of just existing. The question is, which person will you be today? I want you to look at your hands right now. Go ahead, look at them. These hands have carried you through every single challenge you've ever faced. They've wiped away tears you thought would never stop. They've held on to hope when everything else was falling apart. And today, these same hands are going to help you turn the page to a brand new chapter of your life. My name doesn't matter as much as my message, but let me tell you something about the person standing before you. I am someone who has fallen more times than I can count. I am someone who has been told no more often than yes. I am someone who has stared into the darkness and wondered if the light would ever come back. But I am also someone who decided that my past would not define my future, that my pain would not become my prison, and that my scars would tell a story of survival, not defeat. Today, we're going on a journey together. Not a physical journey, but something far more profound. We're going to travel deep into the core of who you are and who you're meant to become. And I promise you this, if you give me your attention, your honesty, and your willingness to believe that change is possible, the person who walks out of here in 5 minutes will not be the same person sitting here right now. ITUPKLS minutes 3 let me ask you something. And I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and truly liked what you saw? I'm not talking about your physical appearance. I'm talking about looking into your own eyes and recognizing the person staring back at you. When was the last time you felt proud of the choices you're making, the life you're building, the person you're becoming? If you're struggling to answer that question, you're not alone. Statistics show that 85% of people worldwide suffer from low self-esteem. Think about that. That means if there are 100 people in this room, only 15 of you truly believe in yourselves. That's not just sad, it's a crisis. But here's what nobody tells you about self-doubt. It's not your enemy. It's your teacher. Every moment of uncertainty, every wave of insecurity, every whisper that says you're not good enough is actually an invitation to prove yourself wrong, an invitation to rise higher than you ever thought possible. There's a story I love about a pottery class that was divided into two groups. The first group was told they'd be graded on the quantity of pots they produced. The second group was told they'd be graded on the quality of just one perfect pot. At the end of the semester, something remarkable happened. The highest quality pots all came from the quantity group. Why? Because while the quality group sat theorizing about perfection, the quantity group was busy making mistakes, learning, and improving with each attempt. Your life is that pottery class. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting until you're completely ready. Stop waiting until you have all the answers. The truth is, you'll never be completely ready. You'll never have all the answers. And that's exactly the point. Life isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, being persistent, and being willing to grow through what you go through. I've met so many people who tell me, I'll start my business when I have more money. I'll pursue my passion when I have more time. Or I'll be happy when I lose weight, when I get married, when I get that promotion. Do you know what all these statements have in common? They're all variations of the same lie. I'll live my life when what? When everything is perfect. Let me tell you something that might shake you. Everything will never be perfect. There will never be a perfect time. There will never be perfect circumstances. But there will always be now. And now is all you've ever really had. Off past years, minutes 8:15, let me share with you a story that changed my entire perspective on life. There was once a man who lost his job, his wife left him, and he was diagnosed with a chronic illness all in the same year. He stood on a bridge, ready to end it all. As he was about to jump, a young boy approached him and asked, "Mister, can you help me find my mother? I lost her in the crowd." The man, despite his pain, helped the boy search. 2 hours later, they found the mother, who was frantically worried. She hugged her son, tears streaming down her face, and turned to the man saying, "Thank you, you saved my son's life. He has autism and gets disoriented easily. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't been there." The man walked away from that bridge with tears in his eyes, but for a completely different reason. He realized that even in his darkest hour, he still had something to give. He still had value. He still had purpose. Sometimes we're so focused on what we've lost that we forget to see what we still have. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. Let that sink in. 27 years. That's longer than some of you have been alive. He could have emerged from that experience broken, bitter, angry at the world. Instead, he emerged with a vision of reconciliation and forgiveness that transformed an entire nation. When asked how he maintained hope, he said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." Your perspective is everything. It's not what happens to you that determines your destiny. It's what you do with what happens to you. Two people can experience the exact same tragedy and come out completely different. One becomes a victim, the other becomes a victor. One sees a stumbling block, the other sees a stepping stone. The difference isn't in their circumstances, it's in their mindset. I want you to think about the hardest thing you've ever been through. Got it? Now I want you to think about this: you survived it. You're still here. That thing that almost broke you, it didn't. You're stronger than you think you are. You're more resilient than you give yourself credit for. And that challenge that seems impossible right now, it's not. It's just the universe's way of asking you to level up. There's a Japanese art form called kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. The philosophy behind it is that the piece becomes more beautiful for having been broken. Your breaks, your cracks, your scars, they're not signs of weakness. They're badges of honor. They're proof that you faced something difficult and survived. And now, like that pottery, you have the opportunity to fill those cracks with gold and become even more magnificent than you were before. But here's the catch. You have to choose it. Nobody can choose transformation for you. Nobody can choose growth for you. Nobody can choose happiness for you. These are decisions that only you can make, and you have to make them every single day. Minutes 15 to let's talk about the lies we tell ourselves. Because before you can transform your life, you need to identify the false narratives that have been holding you hostage. Lie number 1. I'm too old to change. Really? Colonel Sanders was 62 when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. Vera Wang entered the fashion industry at 40. Laura Ingalls Wilder published her first book at 65. Grandma Moses didn't start painting until she was 78, and she went on to produce over 500 works of art. Your age is not a barrier. It's an asset. You have experience, wisdom, and perspective that younger versions of you didn't have. Use it. Lie number 2. I don't have enough education. Some of the most successful people in history didn't have formal education. Richard Branson dropped out of school at 15. He now owns over 400 companies. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, all college dropouts. Now, I'm not saying education isn't valuable. It absolutely is. But what I am saying is that your formal education, or lack thereof, doesn't determine your worth or your potential. Self-education, curiosity, and a willingness to learn are worth more than any degree. Lie number 3. I'm not talented enough. Let me tell you about a man named Thomas Edison. When he was young, his teacher told his mother he was too stupid to learn anything. He went on to hold $1.93 patents and invented the light bulb, among many other things. When asked about his thousands of failed attempts, he said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Talent is overrated. You know what's underrated? Consistency, discipline, showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. Putting in the work when nobody's watching. That's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Lie number 4. My past defines me. This is perhaps the most destructive lie of all. Your past is not your prison. It's your classroom. Every mistake you've made, every bad decision, every regret, they're all lessons. The question is, are you learning from them, or are you letting them control you? I know people who made terrible decisions when they were younger and spent decades punishing themselves. I know people who were hurt by others and built walls so high that love could never get in. I know people who failed once and decided that failure was their identity. But here's the truth: your past is just a story. And stories can be rewritten. Not the facts. You can't change what happened. But you can absolutely change what it means. You can change the narrative. You can go from victim to survivor to thriver. You can go from wounded to healer. You can go from broken to restorer. Oprah Winfrey was born into poverty, experienced abuse, and faced discrimination. She could have let that be her story. Instead, she became one of the most influential people in the world. She didn't deny her past. She didn't pretend it didn't hurt, but she refused to let it limit her future. Maya Angelou said, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." I would add to that, there is no greater tragedy than believing a false story about yourself. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not what people say about you. You are what you choose to become starting right now. Pakitech transform more for minutes 3 to 30. So how do you actually transform your life? Let me give you a formula that has worked for millions of people throughout history. It's simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. As step 1, accept where you are. You cannot change what you won't acknowledge. Stop pretending everything is fine if it's not. Stop making excuses for why your life looks the way it does. Take full, complete, radical responsibility for where you are right now. Yes, maybe someone hurt you. Yes, maybe you had disadvantages. Yes, maybe life threw you curveballs. But here's the empowering truth. If you're responsible for where you are, that means you also have the power to change it. Victims are powerless. But the moment you accept responsibility, you gain power. As step 2, define where you want to be. You can't hit a target you can't see. Get crystal clear on what you want. Not what your parents want. Not what society expects, not what looks good on social media. What do why you want? What makes why your soul come alive? Write it down. Be specific. I want to be successful is not a goal. I want to build a business that generates $100,000 in annual revenue within 2 years is a goal. I want to be healthy is vague. I want to exercise 4 times a week and prepare nutritious meals at home 5 days a week is clear. The universe responds to specificity. When you know exactly what you want, everything starts to align to help you get there. Step 3, identify the gap. Now comes the honest part. What's standing between where you are and where you want to be? Usually, it's one of 3 things: knowledge, skills, or habits. If it's knowledge, go learn. We live in an age where information is everywhere. Free courses, YouTube videos, podcasts, books, mentors. There's no excuse for not knowing something if you're willing to learn. If it's skills, go practice. Remember the pottery class. You get better by doing, not by thinking about doing. You don't need to be great to start, but you need to start to be great. If it's habits, go change them. This is often the hardest one because habits are comfortable, even when they're destructive. But here's a secret. You don't have to change everything at once. Change one small thing, then another, then another. Small hinges swing big doors. Say step 4, create a plan. A goal without a plan is just a wish. Break your big goal into smaller milestones. Break those milestones into weekly objectives. Break those objectives into daily actions. If you want to write a book, you don't sit down and write 50,000 words in one day. You write 500 words a day for 100 days. If you want to lose 50 pounds, you don't try to lose it all in a month. You focus on losing 1 to 2 pounds a week through consistent eating and exercise. Big transformations come from small, consistent actions repeated over time. Step 5, take massive action. Here's where most people fail. They have the acceptance, they have the vision, they have the plan, but they don't execute, they overthink. They wait for confidence, they wait for motivation. But here's the secret: action creates motivation, not the other way around. You don't wait until you feel like it. You do it, and then you feel like it. You don't wait for confidence. You act and confidence follows. There's a concept in physics called momentum. An object at rest stays at rest. An object in motion stays in motion. The hardest part is starting. But once you start, once you build that momentum, it becomes easier and easier to keep going. Step 6, adjust and adapt. Here's the part nobody tells you. Your first plan probably won't work. And that's okay. Success is not a straight line. It's a zigzag full of detours, obstacles, and unexpected turns. The people who transform their lives aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail, learn, adjust, and try again. They're the ones who see failure not as a stop sign, but as a redirect sign. Thomas Edison tried thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. JK. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before one finally took a chance on Harry Potter. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. Colonel Sanders was rejected over 1,000 times before someone agreed to his chicken recipe. What made them different? They didn't quit. They didn't let rejection define them. They adjusted their approach and kept going. Arbeitet die Courage beginnings Metinist 3037. Let's address the elephant in the room: fear. You're afraid. I know you are. I can feel it from here. You're afraid you'll fail. You're afraid people will judge you. You're afraid you're not good enough. You're afraid you'll succeed and then lose it all. You're afraid of change itself. But here's what I want you to understand. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is information. It's your brain's way of telling you that something matters to you. You're only afraid of things you care about. Nobody is afraid of failing at something they don't care about. So the presence of fear actually confirms that you're on the right path. It means you're about to do something meaningful, something that matters, something that could change everything. The question is not, how do I get rid of fear? The question is, how do I move forward with fear? Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Think about every major transformation in your life: learning to walk, your first day of school, your first job, your first relationship. Were you scared? Of course. Did you do it anyway? Yes, and you survived, you made it through. And now those things that once terrified you are just normal parts of your life. The same will be true for whatever you're facing now. This fear you feel, this uncertainty, this doubt, one day you'll look back on it and wonder why you waited so long to start. There's a story about an elderly woman who told her granddaughter, "I'm too old to go back to school." The granddaughter asked, "How old will you be in 4 years if you don't go back to school?" The grandmother replied, "The same age I'll be if I do go back." The granddaughter smiled and said, "Exactly. So why not be that age with a degree? Time is going to pass anyway. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to spend it wishing things were different, or are you going to spend it making things different?" I want to share something deeply personal with you. There was a time in my life when I felt completely lost. I had made decisions I wasn't proud of. I had hurt people I loved. I looked at my life and didn't recognize it. I remember sitting alone one night crying, asking myself, how did I get here? And then a thought came to me. Almost like a whisper. It doesn't matter how you got here. What matters is what you do next. That was my turning point. I realized I had been spending all my energy looking backward, regretting, analyzing, beating myself up. But none of that was changing anything. The only thing that could change my life was what I did moving forward. So I made a decision. I decided that even though I couldn't change my past, I could change my future. I decided that even though I had failed, failure was not my identity. I decided that even though I was broken, I was not beyond repair. And that decision changed everything. Because transformation doesn't start with a plan. It doesn't start with resources. It doesn't start with perfect circumstances. It starts with a decision. A decision that you will not stay where you are. A decision that your story is not over yet. I Paragari and you are star as a minutes 37:42 for now. Let's get practical. Because inspiration without implementation is just entertainment. You need to leave here today with concrete steps you can take immediately. As action step 1, write your new story tonight. I want you to sit down with a piece of paper or open a blank document on your computer. At the top, write chapter 1, the new beginning. Then write the story of your life as you want it to be 1 year from now. Not as it is. Not as it has been. As you want it to be. Write about where you're living, what you're doing, how you feel about yourself, the relationships you have, the goals you've achieved. Write it in present tense as if it's already happened. Write it with emotion. Write it with detail. This is your new story. Read it every morning when you wake up. Read it every night before you go to sleep. Let it seep into your subconscious mind. Let it become so real that your brain starts finding ways to make it happen. As action step 2, identify your power hour. Find 1 hour in your day, just 1 hour, that you dedicate entirely to your transformation. Maybe it's 5 a.m. before the world wakes up. Maybe it's during your lunch break. Maybe it's after the kids go to bed. But find that hour and guard it fiercely. During that hour, do something that moves you toward your goal. Read, learn, practice, create, exercise, plan, whatever your transformation requires, spend that hour on it. Do you know what happens if you spend 1 focused hour every day on something? In 1 year, that's 365 hours. That's enough to become proficient in a new skill. That's enough to write a book. That's enough to transform your health. That's enough to build a side business. Most people waste 1 hour every day scrolling through social media, watching mindless TV, or complaining. Imagine if you redirected that hour toward your dreams instead. Here's action step 3. Build your support system. You cannot do this alone. You were not meant to. Find people who believe in your vision. Find people who are on their own transformation journey. Find mentors who have already achieved what you're trying to achieve. And here's the hard part. You might need to distance yourself from some people. Not because they're bad people, but because they're not supporting your growth. You've heard the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Look at those 5 people. Are they where you want to be? Are they encouraging your dreams or killing them? This doesn't mean being harsh or cruel, but it does mean being intentional about who has access to your energy, your time, and your vision. Ref action step 4. Celebrate small wins. Our transformation is a marathon, not a sprint. And if you only celebrate when you reach the finish line, you'll lose motivation long before you get there. So celebrate every small victory along the way. Lost 2 pounds, celebrate. Finished a chapter of that course, celebrate. Had a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, celebrate. Went a full day without that bad habit, celebrate. These small wins create momentum. They remind you that you're making progress even when the big goal still seems far away. So that's action step 5. Embrace the messy middle. There's going to be a phase, usually somewhere between starting and finishing, where it gets really hard. The excitement of starting has worn off. The finish line still seems far away. You're tired. You're doubting yourself. You're wondering if it's worth it. This is what I call the messy middle. And this is where most people quit. But I need you to understand something. The messy middle is where the magic happens. It's where you develop character. It's where you build resilience. It's where you prove to yourself that you're serious about this transformation. When you're in the messy middle, remember why you started. Look at that new story you wrote. Remember the person you're becoming. And take 1 more step. Just 1, then another, then another. Amity Finel Kyles, minutes 4245. We're almost at the end of our time together. But really, this is just the beginning. The beginning of your transformation. The beginning of your new chapter. The beginning of the life you were always meant to live. I want to leave you with this. You have everything you need inside of you right now. Not to be perfect. Not to have it all figured out. But to start. To make that first step. To make that decision. You are not too old. You are not too young. You are not too broken. You are not too damaged. You are not too far gone. You are exactly where you need to be to begin the greatest transformation of your life. Will it be easy? No. Will it be worth it? Absolutely. A year from now, you'll wish you had started today. But you don't have to wish, because you can start today, right now. This moment, I believe in you. I believe in your potential. I believe that you have gifts this world needs. I believe that your story matters. I believe that you were made for more than you're currently settling for. But my belief in you doesn't matter nearly as much as your belief in yourself. So I'm going to ask you one last time. Do you believe you can change? Do you believe you deserve better? Do you believe your best days are still ahead of you? If your answer is yes, even a hesitant, uncertain yes, that's enough. That's all you need. That tiny spark of belief is enough to light a fire that can warm your entire life. So here's what I want you to do. Right now, wherever you are, I want you to make a commitment to yourself. Not to me, not to anyone else. To yourself. Say it out loud if you can. I am done playing small. I am done waiting for permission. I am done letting my past dictate my future. Today I choose transformation. Today I choose growth. Today I choose to become the person I was always meant to be. Did you say it? Good. Because that commitment is sacred. That commitment is powerful. That commitment just set in motion a series of events that will change your life forever. The caterpillar doesn't know it's going to become a butterfly. It just knows it needs to go into the cocoon. It's dark in there. It's uncomfortable. The caterpillar literally dissolves and rebuilds itself. That's transformation. It's not comfortable. It's not easy, but it's necessary and it's worth it. You are about to enter your cocoon. Embrace it. Trust the process. And know that on the other side of this transformation is a version of you that can fly. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your openness. Thank you for believing that change is possible. Now go out there and prove yourself right. Your transformation starts now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when things are perfect now. Go transform your life. The world is waiting for the person you're about to become. A hey end of speech or word count approximately 9,000 words of this speech is designed to be delivered with passion, pauses for emphasis, and genuine emotional connection with the audience. Adjust pacing based on audience response and engagement.